Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast, where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. Now, each week, we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry. Now, today we're lucky enough to have an amazing guest joining us, Joe Levy, founder and CEO of AiLert. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Barry?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing today?
All right, very good. Very good. Thank
So,
you.
firstly, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us. I know time is precious for you. So, let's get started by getting to know you a little better. So, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on your lovely video podcast today. Originally, I'm Swiss. I was born in Geneva, brought up in the Caribbean in the Bahamas in the 80s, and then ended up studying modern languages in Geneva, and then went on to study filmmaking at New York Film Academy, Brooklyn College, and UCLA. After that, I got into a film career where I was involved on multiple reality TV and an Oscar-nominated feature documentary film. And then when that happened, Apple called me. I was on the train, and a guy said, "Hi, this is Steve from Apple. Am I talking to Joe?" And then there was this long pause. And then the guy said, "Joe, this is not Steve Jobs. This is Steve Bays. I am an executive at Apple. Would you like to come work for us? Because we've seen your work." And I thought, yeah, sure. I love Apple. Definitely. So I got into the Apple thing as an expert in image processing. And from there, I fell into 360 video to VR creation, live exercise for the Swiss military. And from there, I fell into AI. And from there, I started to create a weapon detector. And I was still based in Switzerland. And then NVIDIA told us, why don't you come to Israel? Because we have IVA, Intelligent Video Analytics R&D, which is based in Israel. We could help you out. So then moved to Israel, opened up a lab there. And right away, our company got into the Tel Aviv University Accelerator, and one thing led to another. And then I met my mentors, Ran Oz, who's had 5 or 6 exits, wonderful Israeli entrepreneur. And then I also met Philippe Boisiz from Sarona Ventures and Prodware, one of the board members at Deal, which is valued at $13 billion. And they're the guys that are pushing me, raise the money and make a company. So today we have AiLert, and AiLert is a SaaS platform that allows you to connect your existing surveillance cameras. And the instant someone brandishes a small magazine-fed handgun or an assault rifle, what we'll do, we'll notify your security teams on their cell phones. And it's real time, it works, it's brilliant. It's used by Rolex. It's used now by one university in the US. And it was tested at the city of Oslo that had carnage like 10 or 12 years ago. Crazy terrorists killed 67 kids and 2 policemen and blew up a car. And we also tested it in the city of Padova together with Palace Defense as part of a project from the European Commission called Project Impetus, which was financed by the EIC Accelerator. And today, here we are, getting our large first deployments, and happy to be on this podcast with you, Barry, so that your audience get to know more about AiLert.
The pleasure's all ours, and it's quite an illustrious career that you've had. When you were in your humble beginnings, could you ever have imagined that this would be the path that you'd end up taking?
Never. The thing I wanted to do back then when I graduated from high school in Switzerland, I wanted to do video forensics, and I couldn't. And the closest thing I found was my dad always told me, well, we got family in California. Some of them work in the entertainment industry. So that's the closest you can get. So that's what I've ended up doing. But never in a million years I would have thought I'd go from being behind like a $500,000 motion picture camera to behind a $200 surveillance camera. No, it's magic
Perfect.
of life.
So, just talk a little bit about how AiLert began and what were the initial challenges that you encountered?
When we started initially, when we came to Israel, AI was just kind of happening. So there weren't that many companies that were just doing deep learning like we did. And the challenge was to find the right engineers. That was a big challenge. And no one really knew how things were built. Like Yann Lequin, the chief scientist of Facebook, said it at the WEF about a month ago in Switzerland. He said, if you take people that know how to build LLM, large language models, there may be 4 or 5 of them in the world. They're very, very good. And that's what happened when we were in 2017, 2019. Only a very few people in Israel knew how to build object detectors for computer vision. So that was a big challenge. And how do you pass this challenge? It's with passion and persistence. And whenever someone tells you it's never going to work and you're wasting your time, go get a job somewhere, just, move forward and don't listen to what people are telling you because there's a lot of
Did
jealous
you hear
people in
that a
this
lot
world.
during your career?
Oh, we had so many things. We had employees when we finished our first version. We had an employee who told us, say the software is now finished. It's amazing. And he's like, call me up. And then the guy was bribing us. And he's like, if you want your code, you're going to have to pay this. And I'm like, you know what? It's a small world. We're just going to redo it. Lessons learned. So as you're an
Wow.
entrepreneur, you learn how, people will step on you and then you learn from it. You stand up and you move forward because that's how success is done.
It's a hard way to learn, though, isn't it? Especially the way that you had to learn.
Yeah, but I'm a fighter, and everybody in the companies, they know this. I probably would have people that would step on us again, and there won't be the last one. There's been many before, and there'll be many ahead, I think.
Perfect. That's some good advice for people to watch out for. So thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so what measures does AiLert employ to maintain the speed and efficiency of its systems operations?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, when you detect a weapon like we do, the most important is the speed of the notification. It has to be extremely fast. And the reason is why you have to be extremely fast is because every second counts when someone draws a weapon, either in a school or in a jewelry store. And so what drives one of our main vertical, I would say, philosophical vertical in our company is the speed of being able to share anomalies with the relevant teams and the relevant people. The second one, which is a thing that we've applied from day one, was about data privacy and cybersecurity by design. You see, a lot of people did, oh, we're going to make an AI and I'm going to connect it. I'm going to put a camera on the street and I'm going to take footage and I'm going to build AI models and it's going to be great. Well, you know what? It's great. But this is not a research. This is not the university. And you cannot take people's data and build a commercial product with it. So what was key for us was data privacy. And when we started to work with the European Commission together in the city of Oslo, they told us, we know you have the tech with the AI, what we want you to do now is to be able to use this in the smart city of Oslo by remaining fully GDPR compliant, that is data privacy compliant. And then they come at you like with a train in your face and a bus in the other one. And they're like, just make it compliant. And it took us 3 years to make it compliant because it's very special, data privacy. So this is also one thing in our operations that we're following. So you have the speed of our notifications when we have a positive detection. and always remaining compliant to data privacy laws. And the last one, the third one, is a pillar. The last leg on our table is ethics. You don't want to build on bias models. Did you know that it's against the law, for instance, if you'd want to build a person detector in the city of Manchester, and you get authorization from people saying, if I walk on King Street, I'd allow this university or company to use my likes in order to build an AI so that we can build a person detector. You're breaking the law. Because even if the people agree, your data set, which is what you use to make an artificial intelligence, has to be non-biased. And non-biased means you have to have equal 50% amount of male and 50% amount of female within your data. And within this data, you have to have an equal amount in every skin color. So if you use Afro-American, like 2,000 Afro-American, you're going to have in those 2,000 Afro-American, 1,000 male, 1,000 female. Then you can use 1,000 white Caucasian male, 1,000 white Caucasian female. And then if you have like Hispanic people, if you have like people that come from the UAE, then you have to have really a model which is not going to be biased. And this is ethics. And also this is what we learned with the European Commission. And this is what you have to do. If not, guess what? You're not compliant to the AI Act legislation. If you're not compliant, in order to be compliant, if you make an AI system, you need to have three things. Number one, if it's in relation to public safety, you always have to have a human validation. You cannot send an alert directly to law enforcement and say, hey, there's someone there with a gun, go arrest him. No. Same thing, God forbid, you know someone that doesn't feel well, they go to the hospital and they get a CT scan or an MRI. The MRI is going to detect, God forbid, cancer cells. There's not going to be an AI that's going to send you for a treatment for cancer. No, it's going to go through the hands of a radiologist, an oncologist that's going to say, yeah, it is true, you have some cancer cell. We confirm that, the human validation. Number two, you have too many false positives, you're out of the game. What does it mean? I'm holding my cell phone in public and I go like this and it's detected as a gun. You're out. Why? Because it's a risk. Why it's a risk? At an alarm center, if an engineer gets an alert and it says someone with a gun, the level of stress is going to skyrocket and he's not going to see what's happening. He's going to call the cops and he's going to say, there's a guy with black glasses, with some kind of a funky military shirt. He has a gun. The police arrive, they see you, they shoot you. That's a false positive because you had a phone in your hand. You can't have that. Then the AI Act says if you have false negatives, we won't certify your system. What's a false negative? I have a real gun, I'm walking on the street, and there's no detection. Now what happens is our competitors, they have a lot of false negatives, but in America. And as you know, in Europe, if you have an undetected weapon, people say, oh, big deal. Well, in America, there was a shooting at a certain place, and there was a weapon detection system that was being utilized that didn't detect the gun. Now, this company is being sued. Another company didn't detect the knife. They're being sued because it was a stabbing attack. Paris Airport in March 17th, 2015, a security guard got her weapon stolen by an attacker. There was some kind of a rumble. Within 2 minutes, the attacker was shot to death. No problem. But no one notified the security teams at Paris Airport that have to screen through 14,000 different security cameras. And because when they shot the attacker, they shot it with, gunshot, boom, boom, boom. In an airport terminal, makes a lot of noise, echoes, and people started to run and panic. And what happened was a crazy panic effect that spread all the way to the tarmac, and then even passengers using open freeway to get back home. And there was no problem. There was just a terrorist and he got neutralized. But because the information that there was no problem was not shared, it costs Aéroport de Paris 300 million euros for each 24 hours
Wow.
because a gun was not detected. So you see, that's why the AI Act is in place now in Europe, saying if you want to deploy an AI system, you better be good in what you do. You better be compliant to all the data privacy laws. You have to be compliant with the ethics. But you can't give us a system that is not going to detect and that's going to give us false detection. So the playground became very restricted. That's the reason why at AiLert, we only do one thing, which is firearm detections. It's already very complex, and that's all we do.
Wow, it's incredible. There's a lot of stress you must have in the job. I mean, being the CEO or founder of a company is stressful, but you've literally got lives on the line. How do you cope with that level of stress and competing challenges?
Level of competing, not so much, but the level of challenge. Being in a position where I will install the system. Well, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, no. So we have a very strict set of rules with our customers. Because I come from the entertainment industry, for me, it's very easy to tell them, listen, the cameras that you've placed in your airport, they're fantastic. I respect you, but you guys are not filmmakers, right? And usually when someone installed the surveillance cameras, for some reason, I don't blame them, they like to film a lot of the sky and the ceiling, and they're missing about a third of the image. And I always tell them, tilt your camera down. We want the camera to see what's down. We don't care about what's above the door. We're not looking for Spider-Man or some birds. We're looking at the people. That's the first thing. And then we tell them to recognize a face. You can do this exercise. You take your phone and you shoot on the street with your phone a video. And if you can't recognize in the video with the unaided eye who's walking, it means you don't have enough resolution, right? So it means you need to zoom in. Well, we do the same thing with the airports. We tell them, listen, great camera, fantastic view, we love it. Well, we can't see what people are holding in their hands. Is it a coffee mug? Is it a pen? Is it a pair of sunglasses? Let's zoom in until we can see what they hold. And they're like, why? I'm like, because someone carries a gun. I want to make sure it's a gun. So in order to mitigate the risk, we really came to them with a guideline. You want our software to work? Great. It needs your help. And you need to sometime reframe on your cameras and zoom onto the cameras. Usually customers will say, no, we don't need to. But then when you show them specific videos of the difference with and without the proper settings, then of course, if it's relevant for them to have weapon detection, they say, you know what, out of the 50 cameras we have that we intended to use for weapon detection, we'll use 15 with your parameters. And then we're like, great, we'll sign off on those 15 cameras. The rest, we won't touch it. So that's how you mitigate the risk. That's how you sleep better at night. And also by having a fantastic team.
So you mentioned cameras there. So could you just elaborate on how AiLert's technology integrates with pre-existing camera systems?
Sure. So let's imagine that you have a friend that has a high jewelry store in a city, right? And he's got like a few security cameras. What we do is we simply turn those cameras. We give the capabilities of those cameras to analyze weapons. How do we do this? When we install our software, we install it on a small IoT device. So now what's an IoT device? Internet of Things. A camera is an IoT device. So we tell the guy, instead of having 3 IoT devices in your store, which are 3 cameras, you're going to have now 4. The 4th IoT device is a mini computer. We have our software installed on to that IoT device. We aggregate the video streams from the cameras and we process it. That's all there is to it. So we don't ask you to use the cloud or anything like this. Bandwidth is already a problem. Like actually, when we started this interview at the beginning, there was a bandwidth issue. Now imagine if I'd be processing my client's cameras on the cloud. There's no internet, there's no AI at work, and you can't do that. So that's why our system processes on premises is also liked by a lot of customers. It means the data never leaves their premises.
So, how does AiLert differentiate itself from its competitors, and what
Sure.
strategies does it employ to maintain a competitive edge?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we were not like our competitors. Some of them raised like millions of dollars, some dozens of millions of dollars, huge sales team. We had a complete different approach. I'm Swiss. I grew up in Geneva. Our neighbor, I remember one summer, uh, it was a guy that had lots of Ferraris. And what struck me back then, he had like vintage Ferraris parked in front of his house. And once I walked there, I say, "Wow, what's so special about this car?" And he say, "Well, it's very rare." I say, "Why is it rare?" I say, "Well, it's a perfect car." Why is it a perfect car? Because it took a long time to build, and it's just perfect. The handling is perfect, the color, the design, the look, everything's perfect, even on a racetrack. Rolex watches, people say they're perfect watches. They cost a lot, they take time to do, and they work well. They last a lifetime. So we didn't want to have something that was done quickly. We wanted to infuse AiLert in this perfection thing. So what did we do is, first, when we install at a client facility or site, we talk a lot with the client. We do an evaluation of their system. We work with them. We ask them, where would you like your alarms to be sent? Is it your alarm center? Is it your cell phone? Is it your email? Is it through Microsoft Teams? Whatever you want. We work with them. Because the worst you can do, that I learned at Apple, is you have a great tech and you want to feed it to the people. That's not what we do. We know that there's a shooting plague in America. It's a problem. So we tell the people, we can help you by preventing mass shootings or school shootings in the US. We have it because we know that this is a problem that you're facing. We can help you with our tech. And at the same time, how would you like to receive those notifications? What do you want? Because when you talk to the head of security, who handles security for 30 schools, who's been doing this job for 20 years, you cannot approach him and tell him or her, "Hey, so that's our system, and now we're going to give you a cell phone and you're going to receive the alerts on your cell phone." No, the guy's going to say, "I don't work like this." So our edge is being able to work with the clients that we have, almost as if we're customizing somehow our solution. And also, we have very, very, very few false positives. And that's part of our magic sauce. Like very few false alarms.
So, we have talked about the past and the present, but we haven't yet talked about the future. So, could you just tell me what advancements or developments that AiLert anticipate for its technology in the near future?
We think about today, it's an interesting question. It's an open question. My answer is the following one, Barry. If today you put a camera in your house and you got to call like Securitas or ADT Security to connect it, and they're going to charge you $80 a month just for that, you're like, excuse me, no. The advancement I see for the future is that security companies will turn into and use the Uber or the Airbnb model. That is, instead of sending your alerts to an alarm center, then you or people in the future will be able to sign up and say, "Hey, I'm available for the next few hours. I want to make $20. Yeah, no problem." And you're sitting in front of your screen and you get alerts that are coming to you and you have to validate them. Yes, is this an emergency? Oh no, do you see a weapon? Do you see a car crash? Do you see someone that fell? Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you can outsource the needs of validating artificial intelligence detections to humans without the need of going through an alarm center. And this is where we're going to go, I think, in the future. Because when it comes to security, you cannot trust an AI. AIs, they have hallucinations, they make mistakes. We had hallucinations last year. We fixed it. And it happens every once in a while. But that's how I see the future, that AI will bring tons of jobs. And one of the jobs would be the human validation. So people like you and I.
That sounds really exciting as well, because we always hear in the stories about AI taking everyone's jobs. So it's nice to hear a reverse story where the AI may actually promote giving other people jobs. So that's great news.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk to law enforcement officers, even the youngest ones. When we were at Milipol in Paris, which is one of the largest military trade shows in the world in November of 2023, we were there with our French distributor. We had the visit of a lot of law enforcement agencies from France on our booth. The first thing we told them was like, first of all, gentlemen, thank you for doing your job, the job that you're doing, especially those law enforcement officers in Marseille, men and women. And they told us, with a tool like AI, it can make our job so much easier. So I'll tell you that. How do you compare this? How are you sure it's not going to take your job? Well, let's talk about Copilot for a second, which is this new AI that uses ChatGPT as a backend for Microsoft. And it's collaboration, I think, also with IBM. So a good friend of mine, David, he's a lot into innovation in Geneva. And he said they have installed Copilot in their offices. And what it does is people come at 9 a.m. and they leave at 6 p.m. latest. You arrive and you can say, all right, Copilot, what are my most important meetings of the day? I need to make room for my son. He has a recital at 2 o'clock. I have to be at school. Can you reschedule my email? Yes, rescheduling. Then you can ask Copilot, okay, how's my team doing? Copilot will tell you, well, one of your employees kind of struggling probably with email communication with one of the third-party services you use, and he's actually sent 22 email, and the problem is not solved. Shall I schedule an appointment for your employee so that you can help him to go over this challenge? That's what AI does. AI is helping you. The same way that my wife says, oh, people are using ChatGPT. Yeah, 100 years ago, our great-grandmothers were doing laundry at the river, right? And today we have a washing machine. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem. So it's just making our lives easier. It's not going to take our jobs. We're not building the Terminator. Yet in the defense industry, in 10 years from now, the wars will be won with the nation that has the highest performing robots. That's for sure, 100%. Taking our jobs, probably in journalism, actors, actresses in the entertainment business. I do know that Tom Hanks got scanned so that he has now a MetaHuman, which is available so that he could make a commercial without being there. And he's making the amount he's going to be making without being there. So if you're a known actor and you're good, yes, it's great. But if you're a new actor trying to compete against like metahumans, that's impossible. What you're going to have soon are metahumans acting in movies. And you're going to have movies with different endings. Like you're depressed when you go see a movie, the movie is going to be amazing. If you're upset, when you see the movie is going to have a lot more action scenes. And you're going to feel better that the guy was beaten up and his head exploded, whatever. Then you're like, yes. And you're going to meet with your friends. Like, did you see like the movie, whatever it's called? Like, let's imagine Red Circle. You say, oh, I love the scene when the guy jumped from the tower. And they're like, what do you mean? There was no guy jumping off the tower. It's like, no. When I went to see the movie, I was in certain moods. So the AI adapted the movie for me. I think that's an amazing tool.
I agree, Joe. You're so interesting to talk to, and I literally could talk to you all day. However,
we got to close it.
however, time constraints are against us, unfortunately. So thank you so much for talking to us today about AiLert. I've learned a lot, and it's been really fascinating, and I hope the viewers also found it equally as fascinating, and why wouldn't they? If someone wants to get in contact with you or someone wants to find out further information, where do they need to go?
So they go to our website, ailert.com, AI-lert.com, AI-lert.com. There we have a chat. They can contact us. There's a contact form. Also, they can also connect with us on our LinkedIn page. We do have handles on Twitter and Instagram, but that's more like, to be honest, we don't reply to messages there. Just reach out to us on the website or directly on our LinkedIn page, and there you get proper answers.
Lovely. Thank you. So, again, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Barry, and good luck with the rest. Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing us.
That was Joe Levy, founder and CEO of AiLert.